Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Chapter 29. The smell of stew stock cooking filled the kitchen. Monroe cut the onions while Ginger worked on a pile of carrots. Delighted to be in the woman's presence, Monroe tried to make small talk. When we were over in Pakistan, guarding this guy, Chappee spies this little hole-in-the-wall eatery. The smell coming from it was so good. Ginger smiled at him, replying, "I bet anything would have smelled good after 2 days on the road." "That's what I told Chappee," Monroe agreed excitedly. He pointed to the counter. "Can you hand me those mushrooms?" "He didn't go eat there, did he?" Ginger wondered, gathering up the pile of mushrooms. "He did. All we had to eat were MREs, so he sneaks out and comes back bragging about his full stomach," Monroe explained, dodging the splash of the stock as he added the vegetables. "I gotta say, I was a little jealous." "Do you need to add more broth?" Ginger asked, looking at the pile of vegetables in the pot. "Let's give it a chance to cook down and see what we got," Monroe told her, walking towards the table. Pulling out her chair, Ginger wondered, "So what happened to Chappee?" Monroe laughed as he continued telling the story. "We loaded the asset into the vehicle in the morning. The lead car hit an IED and we had to move the asset on foot. Chappie got the run so bad he went all day with a big brown stripe on his backside." He continued laughing and Ginger joined in his amusement. "The moral of the story is always make sure your water is clean, even when you're using it for cooking." Giggling, Ginger assured him, "I'll make sure to keep that in mind." They were laughing hard as the door opened. "What's so funny in here?" Chappie wondered. Monroe gathered himself up, explaining, "We're just trading war stories." Ginger chuckled, adding, "And learning why I should always cook with clean water." Immediately recalling the story Monroe had shared, Cole laughed, agreeing, "Oh, that is a good one. It's a miracle Chappie ever got rid of his nickname." "What was that?" Ginger asked innocently. Chappie's expression turned cross. He warned, "Virgis, don't do it." Monroe was delighted to share the information, declaring, "Good old skid mark, the timeless classic." Ginger laughed heartily at the story along with Virgis and Monroe. "What are you two up to in here anyway? It smells awesome," Cole wondered, redirecting the conversation. Monroe got up, fetching bowls and filling them with stew. "Lunch is served, my friends." He put the bowls down on the table. "And we have a dish to take to the potluck." "Let me guess. The Monroe special?" Virgis asked, sitting down at the table. "You got it, boss," Monroe agreed proudly. Chappie sat down, pouting. He told them, "That's why I ate that Middle Eastern food. The infamous Monroe special was the only thing on the menu." Ginger laughed at the man's jest, heading for the door. "Even though I'm enjoying myself, I have to get back. Thank you for a wonderful afternoon, Tim." "It was my pleasure. See you tonight?" Monroe asked, kissing her cheek gently on the porch. "Wouldn't miss it," she assured him before she left. Monroe came back in, smiling widely. Teasing in a woman's voice, Chappie said, "Thanks for the wonderful afternoon, Tim." "Shut it, Chappie," Monroe insisted, pushing him. Watching the banner, Cole added, "Look at those blushing cheeks, Chappie. I think someone's got a crush." "No, I don't. We were just making stew. I enjoy talking with someone other than you two sticks in the mud." "Did you let her season your meat?" Chappie asked, laughing. "Chappie, cut that crap," Monroe insisted, punching at him. Or what?" Chappie asked, blocking his advances and swinging back. "Or I'll kick your ass, skid mark," Monroe answered, jumping up and grabbing Chappie in a headlock. "Oh, it's like that?" Chappie replied, counterattacking the attack. They started to play spar with one another. Their activities escalated and Cole warned, "Take that outside, boys." You're not going to be busting up the place. After lunch, the men prepared for the community gathering in town. Vegetables were coming in and canning needed to be done. The job would go much faster if they all worked together. Waiting for Chappee and Monroe to finish up, Cole became impatient. "Are you ready to go?" Cole asked, yelling up the stairs at the men. "Hold on," Monroe yelled back. "Chappie, you still got some of that cologne left?" Cole ascended the stairs to see what the holdup was. "It's in the medicine cabinet," Chappie yelled from his room. "Are you two ladies ready to go?" Cole asked, poking his head in the bathroom. "We're going to be late." "We'll only be fashionably late," Monroe assured him, applying the cologne. "For his fashion show with Ginger," Chappie teased in a fancy voice. "There's nothing wrong with looking presentable," Monroe countered. "Especially when a lady is involved," Chappie agreed. Rolling his eyes, Cole insisted, "Quit your jaw-jack and let's go, now." "We're coming, sir," Monroe agreed, following Cole down the stairs. Waving his hand through the air, Cole exclaimed, "Dang, Monroe, how much of that stuff did you put on?" "You think it's too much?" Monroe wondered, sniffing himself. "It's perfect if you want to asphyxiate the woman," Chappie jested. "You'll air out as we walk. Get your dish and let's go," Cole commanded. Chappie looked confused. "We're walking? What about the extra jars we were going to bring?" "I took them over this morning while you were doing inventory," Virgis informed him. "Well, all right then, let's go," Chappie agreed, heading for the door. Are you struggling with water storage woes? Tired of the algae and bacteria growing in your water, the weight of storing it and the amount of space that it takes up, the time that it takes to rotate it, and even when it comes to drinking it, you still need a filter because it's gone stale and you're not sure what has been growing in there? This limited supply of water storage can be a mess to store. If any of the containers break, you have water all over the place, and this leads you storing water in a place that might not be as concealed as you'd prefer. Today I want to introduce you to the solution, which is the waterful system. The waterful system hooks up to any outdoor spigot. It contains 30 gallons of on-demand drinkable water for whenever disaster hits you and you need that water. Made in America to meet all safety requirements to ensure that you have drinkable water whenever you need it. There's no need to rotate the waterful system because its pressurized canister ensures your water's rotated every time you turn the hose on. It can stand up to any type of weather, is very, very durable, and it's made with UV inhibitors so it can stand the test of time in the sun. You don't have to worry about cleaning your waterfall system because it takes care of itself. It is the ultimate plug-and-play water storage system, ensuring you have 30 gallons of drinkable water should disaster hit. Its sleek color ensures that it blends into any outdoor atmosphere and doesn't leave you with a big blue beacon of water storage outside of your home. There's no guesswork to put the waterfall system together. It is a plug-and-play system that you can have ready in about 10 minutes. As somebody who's been into preparedness and helping others to prepare for any disasters that befall their life, the waterfall system is the solution to water storage. I highly recommend you go over to Waterful, check it out, and use the code SARA, S-A-R-A. One more time, go over to Waterful, check it out, see about their system, and if it's a good fit for you, and use the code SARA, S-A-R-A, help the changing earth world go round and get yourself prepared for the next disaster. Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 427, season 15, episode 29. Hey, Chin, what's up?
Chin's up, y'all.
Man, I've been saying that intro for a while now, a few years, I guess, huh? A few 6-7 years. Just going through it, I was like, wow, here we go again.
So I heard what was it? Dave and James were on Patriot Power Hour, and they were saying the average is like 6 episodes, and you broke that.
Oh, yeah.
So you blew that right up.
We smashed that just out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always got something to
Because
say.
most people don't give it their all. They kind of like put up a couple posts and podcasts and then die off.
Right. And we're going to do this. Well, if I keep writing books, we're in business,
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time till the next one. Alrighty. Oh, speaking of books, probably this is like it, in order, if you want to order books, this is it. Because to get them to you there, to get them there before Christmas, this is pretty much it. So, that I'll probably put the prices back to where they were in, a few days and go from there. So if you want to get an order in, I still have a couple. Yeah, I still have a couple of sets. I think I have 2 left. So,
I heard you were just on another channel doing an interview in Soulless Set.
I was visiting with Butch over at his Hope for Survival group this week.
Nice.
We did the anti-kidnapping and sexual assault class over there, and first time doing it like on the Zoom platform, so that was a little weird. I like to be in person where I can like see people's faces and reactions and things like that. But it went really well. Stayed for about 2 hours with them. Great people. Tons of wonderful questions, and you just feel the love alive with that group. So very enjoyable experience. Yeah, great time. So thank you, Butch. Appreciate it. Audio drama episode. Part 3 of season 3 is getting ready to go live for the public this Thursday. You will not want to miss it. These end shows are just. They're getting smashed out of the park. They're doing great. And to all my performers who don't have lines in yet, I'm waiting on you guys to be able to finish up the end. So please get them lines in. Intrepid Commander, hint, 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 hint. Anybody who can contact the Intrepid Commander, just send him a gif of a line.
I heard he likes gifs.
Yeah, I heard he likes gifs a lot.
No T, just a GIF.
Yeah, just look up the line and send it to him, and then we'll see. We'll flood him out. I've been just bombing them with line gifts. So when I do the Changing Earth Awards, I was thinking about doing that. He's definitely going to get the winner for the biggest lagger on his lines. So go ahead and give Intrepid Commander a shout out for me. I love that. Anyway, Changing Earth audio drama. New episodes begin on Thursday, and then we'll have 4 in that block before we're waiting for the end to get done. And we'll be really nagging James if he doesn't get off his butt on that one. Next big event for me, unless something comes up in the interim, is I'm going to be out at the Patriot Conference last week of April. That's in Illinois. So you can look that up if you're interested in getting out to one of my classes and you're in the area. I'm going to be teaching at that event in April. So hope to see you out there. Okay. So hilarious Virgis episode today. Last week we had William, it was really, really serious stuff. So it's fun to lighten it up a little with Chappie's story of what happened to him overseas. And this story is actually inspired by the late, great James Yeager. He really affected me in many, many ways. And he has a really cool book that's about what kind of gear you need when you're getting ready to deploy as a defense contractor. But for the preparedness community, it is an awesome book for like your go bag and thinking more of like active combat type situation, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a fantastic book. I can't remember what the name of it is right now, but if you look up James Yeager and the defense contracting, you're going to find it. And this was one of his, not like to the T, but one of his messages was like, hey, when you're overseas be careful about even eating the food over there because they don't purify water like we do. And your system is not used to that, those types of things being in the water. And so it's going to affect you worse. And then you're going to have, an incident when you're trying to get your mission done. So, so I wrote that little story as an ode to James Yeager. Important point, though, moral of the story was you got to have clean water even when you're cooking, right? You can't just be like, well, I'm going to cook it, so start with clean water. That's a better idea. I mean, I guess it's true, but ew,
There, I think I found it.
Yes.
High-risk civilian contracting, working in a war-torn world. I just posted a link.
Yep. He wouldn't even let me interview him till I read his book, so,
He's like, he wouldn't let us post his website. He's like, if they can't find me, I don't want them.
I don't want them. Just, yeah. Like, I love you, James, man. Everyone's like, you got James Yeager on your show? How do you get along with him? I'm like, oh, that's cool. We're good.
He was pretty cool.
Yeah. He was an awesome dude. Awesome dude. The world lost a little light, and God gained a great big light when we lost him. So, the other funny part of the story is with with the Intrepid Commander's character getting ready for his little going to see Ginger, and puts on like the cologne, fight it out, boys moment. Mm-hmm. I love that. It's like, dang, how much of that stuff did you put on? So a lot of comical stuff going on. But it made me think of Jane Austen's book, Survivor Jane's book. She's got really good book on emergency survival hygiene, which is hugely important and really, really kind of missed, I think, in the survival community, And then where there is no cosmetic counter. So like anybody who's like a woman and you're worried about, how do I kind of have, the things that make me feel like a woman after a collapse scenario. There you go. So I'm not really a makeup girl to begin with, but I know that that's one of the things that can really bring joy to some people's life. So good on her for taking that up and doing that task, because that's important for a lot of people. Anybody who has kids out there, or you guys watch animes, I know it's weird for me to be talking about it, but there's an anime that I watched with Fletcher, and it's called Dr. Stone. And totally child appropriate. And it literally goes through like society collapse. And then how do we build back the world? And he talks a lot about how to build soaps and how to build gunpowder and how to build all of these things, generators. It's really how done in the style that I like to write in, where you're getting this really cool fictional story, but you're learning all this information at the same time. Really neat program. If you got kids or whatever, or you're just looking for something to watch, Dr. Stone, really good anime. Check that out. Okay. So
I just popped Jane's 2 books in there too.
Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, like I said, I just think that the hygiene is just so overlooked that it's an important one. Yep. All right, so I told Chin I'm drinking sparkling water tonight. It's like the worst thing I could have done for this podcast. But I was craving one so bad. So if you hear me pause for a minute, I'm just trying not to be rude. So after a disaster, so disasters cause all this damage. We're dealing with it ourselves in the United States tonight. Lots of people around the world are dealing with this. Massive amounts of flooding on the rise. So like South Africa, and just Southern African continent, not just South Africa, but like Southern African continent is really getting hammered with flooding. So not only did it match with our story today, it was very, very timely. We talk a lot about water purification. You can find all kinds of articles on my survival basics and the survival guide regarding water purification. But water is so essential that it's something that we touch on all the time because you got to have a lot of methods and know this stuff through and through. So, so we're going to hit it again. And I got some different information today. Always learning. Always learning. So after a disaster, especially a flood, if you have any question about the quality of your water, or you've been told that it's unsafe to drink, do not, wash dishes, brush your teeth with it, wash with it, use it for food prep, wash your hands, make ice, or make baby formula. That's literally coming from the CDC. I was like, they think that the baby formula is going to purify it? But I guess it needs to be said that, no, don't use it for any of those reasons. At this time, you should be using bottled water or stored water, or you got to treat it. Okay. So even when it comes to your well, do not use it if you think there's a chance it's been contaminated. Your well is literally just water from the ground. And if it just got a big deal of, it could be a mess, livestock waste, human sewage, chemicals, that kind of thing on top of it, do not drink from it. Wells that are left less than 50 foot down are most likely to be contaminated. So you got to get it tested before you drink from it again. Really, really important. Some of the other things, we talked about traveling to foreign countries, but water, don't use water from radiators or boilers. I can't believe that needed to be said out loud as well. Like, I'm just going to pop my car radiator.
Yeah, no chemicals or heavy metals in that, huh?
Right? Some of the times that water is horribly disgusting. Oh my God. So, and I've never actually seen a boiler. Like we had a hot water system in our house in Michigan that heated it. But, I was under 16. It's not like I was working at it. And then out in Cali, there's not really that kind of thing. So, but yeah, water from boilers or those types of hot water systems where it's used to heat your house, don't take it from there. There are lots of good sources. I gave the commercial for the Waterful. That's 30 gallons of drinking water that's filtered, that's constantly good, that's stored at your house, ready to go. The system is a little thrifty, but in my opinion, worth it because it puts a lot of peace in your mind. It's not going to go anywhere. It's a good deal. I like the Waterful. Water heater. Always a good source. Ice cubes, right? That are in your freezer.
Already, yeah.
Yeah. When the disaster first hits, empty that ice bin into, a clean container. Not only are you going to save yourself a mess, if your freezer were to defrost, your freezer just...
Where'd all the water go?
That'd be perfect scenario, actually. How can I make that happen when I'm trying to defrost my freezer? But all those ice cubes are going to be made beforehand, so that's a great idea. The toilet tank, not the toilet bowl.
No, not the bowl.
Not the bowl. Not the bowl. The tank, the water behind. Yeah. Canned fruit and vegetable liquid.
Yep.
A lot of times we break them open and we throw that liquid out, right? That's what we're used to doing. So stop that. You can save that and actually drink that, which, if you're hard up against it. But the swimming pool or the spa. And that's one of the reasons why I have like one of those little, $1,000 outside pools. It's one of the reasons why I love to have that is because it's like thousands of gallons of water there. You wouldn't really want to drink that water, but for cleaning and to have a gray water, perfect. Garden Girl says, just let the dogs drink from the bowl. Yeah, my dog is like the slobber-o-matic, and it would be everywhere. It would be everywhere, so I don't even let that happen. He just slobbers it all over the house. Outside sources, this is where, it's just lame. Rainwater, duh. Streams, duh. Like moving water, lakes, ponds, natural springs. If you're in a flooding situation that could possibly have just contaminated your like drinking supply, I probably wouldn't trust any of those outdoor sources that they suggested. Good.
Well, did you see the one about the trees?
Oh, I did, but talk to us about that one.
So they were saying, you know how like you tap trees for like maple syrup and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That's another source. And like cactus. I've seen that too, where people get water out of cactus.
Yep. They have grapevines.
I never even thought about a tree, tapping the tree for the...
Yeah. Yeah, they have these like grapevines that grow over the oaks in Cali that you can actually just cut the bottom of them and it's...
Get the water out.
Yeah, water supply right there.
Yeah.
So you're wild foraging as well. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was thinking about all the filters and tablets and all that kind of stuff. I'd never thought about the tree.
Yeah, lots of good natural sources. The dew, right? You can put like wrap your legs in material and just go walk through dewy grass and then wring that stuff out. I mean, dude, if you need...
What are you doing, Sarah?
If you need the water... I mean... It's true.
I want to see you do a video on that, Sarah. We all want to.
Not in Texas.
Do a video for us.
I'd have to like be in a wetter place than here, that's for sure.
At prepper camp, the fields in the morning, man, you could harvest some water.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Right? That's what I'm talking about. So
I wear my muck boots in the morning and then I switch over at lunchtime. It's so wet.
Yeah.
The grass is so wet.
I put my boots on in the morning for sure too. Out there, but not really here.
No.
Boiling. So boiling water for decontaminating. So
how long?
Right? That's always the question. How long?
I know. It's like every time I read an article, it seems like I get a different time.
Yeah. So the CDC says 1 minute. Elevations above 6,500, 3 minutes. If you have the fuel...
Yeah.
Go 3 minutes.
Yeah, I've heard 30 minutes.
Right? If it's not, like, if you're not concerned about fuel, then why wouldn't you just do the 3 minutes anyway?
But the other thing is, the more you boil, the more you're boiling off, too, so.
That's true. But...
the longer you boil. So if water's hard to come by, if you have a tough source.
To me, doing the distillation is really the cleanest method for getting clean water.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to be distilling it anyway, you're going to boil off and collect. So 3 minutes. You could do both, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great deal. Like I say, if you have the fuel. So when you first start out with it, say you like collect the water from the lake and it's like disgusting, right? So you want to put a cloth, clean cloth, paper towel, coffee filter over the top of whatever and then pour it through that. Cheesecloth would work, to just take off any of the big chunky type stuff.
Cookies.
Yeah. And then they say to let it like settle, right? After you pour it through the cloth, let it settle and then take the water off the top of that. And that's going to get you your cleanest water.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Get as much of the particulates out.
Right. So most of the time, like when we collected lake water and did all that stuff, it tasted nasty. Okay. It was like, and we treated it with the iodine. It was,
that's the worst.
It was so disgusting. Yeah. So, ways to make it taste better. You can aerate the water, blow bubbles literally into it. Put a kid on task, Now you get to blow bubbles.
I still want a water purification video from you, sir. Walking out through the field with the plastic on your legs and then blowing bubbles.
Yeah. Well, you can pour it from container to container,
see this video,
too.
Please make it.
No, it's so disgusting. Like the iodized water. Ew. I would think I would much rather go with the chlorine.
Demand it.
We'll see. If my fans demand it, then maybe. But, I'm not really one for peer pressure either. So, the other thing you can do is put a pinch of salt for each quart or a liter of water and put some salt in there and it helps out, I guess. So I don't know. It was really, really gross. Disinfectants. So the iodine, obviously, but chlorine is where it's at. It does the best. It kills the most organisms, the most resistant ones. I'm a firm believer in the chlorine tablets because it's just going to store longer than the liquid. However, much harder to know what your concentrate is. You literally have to make your own batch of water with it. Yeah. And then, hope that you have the concentration right. So that's going to be trickier.
Make it into a liquid chlorine and then use that substance to treat your water.
Exactly. And that's going to be a lot more difficult with the tablets. But, I mean, they store so much longer. It's so much easier to store than any kind of liquid chlorine. So... Oh, you buy yours when it's on sale to flavor the filtered water if we need it. What's that, salt? Garden Girl, tell me. Salt? So, yeah, I will go...
Mayo?
What?
Mayo? Is that little stuff that comes...
The Mio. Yeah, the little flavor drops.
Yeah, that's what I've heard people do, is they bring some kind of powder, some kind of sports drink kind of powder to put in to kind of take some of the edge off.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like maybe a little Kool-Aid, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally... Actually, that's what we ended up doing. We had Gatorade powder.
Yeah,
we put that in there.
People just put some of that in there.
Yeah. But then we had to we put the Gatorade powder water in our Camel packs, and then it dyed it all blue. But that's okay. Live and learn.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, live and learn. Okay, so know the concentration of your liquid bleach. In the United States, most household liquid bleaches are going to be a 5% to a 9% chlorine amount. They usually have directions on the bottle for purifying water, but if they don't, the CDC suggests 1/8 teaspoon per gallon, or 8 drops to about 0.5 milliliters. So 2 drops per each liter or quart. So if you had a quart jar, 2 drops of bleach in there, stir it up and let it stand 30 minutes before drinking. And the reason, the reason is because chlorine will dissipate, right? And it's already done its job. It'll dissipate out of the water. So.
Yeah, the sun.
Yeah. It's so crazy to think about all the stuff they do to our water to make it purified and whatnot, and then what we're actually drinking in that cup. I use my filter anyway.
Yeah, we do.
My Alex Pure.
Yeah.
I can literally taste the difference in my water. Like if my mom uses our water to make coffee, I know it's from that tap. And so I was drinking a lot of sodas and stuff like that, and I went just all water because that's what's better. Just have a little soda as a treat or whatever on the weekend.
Yep. That's what we do.
Right? And the minute I did that, I got really, really bad stomach aches. And the only thing I could figure out was that I switched to drinking that much tap water. And so I put it back through my Alex Pure and was like, nope.
Yeah, we got one of those, the countertop ones, because of you referred it.
Yeah, our old house had the well, and we had a large amount of sulfur and stuff like that in our water. So we used it religiously. But then when we moved to city water, we were like, oh, not that big deal, right?
Oh, I want to do all the chlorine and all that other out of the...
Exactly, all the nasties that they put in there. So, one thing is, if you're gonna use the filter as your water purification method, you should be doing. So this is if you had dirty water, you're not taking your city tap water, and putting it through there. But if you have really dirty water, you want your filter to be 1 micron or less. Most of them are nowadays. But it still won't remove viruses and stuff like that. So it still suggests that you do a chlorine disinfectant after you filter it. And that's what I was really curious about. Was like, can you get away with just using your filter? I mean, you can't. It's going to be better than drinking nothing, right? But you should still be doing a disinfect after. So maybe in the go bag, you want to throw one of those chlorine tabs in your bag or something like that. Yeah. You know, like I said, the liquid bleach just doesn't store very long. So if it's a situation where you're not going to be changing it out a lot, I would opt for a tablet.
Yeah, I think I've got tablets and a commercial water filter thing.
Do they make like smaller chlorine tablets for water purification? Cool. Yeah, I'll have to go look for that. Have some of that thrown in my go bag. So what else did you learn? What kind of like new stuff did you pick up today from?
Well, the biggest new thing was tapping the tree.
Yeah.
And we've like solar stills. I mean, I knew about them, but doing this to dig a hole, put the plastic with the rock in the middle, and put a jar underneath. That you can like make water, kind of make water, but if you put
if you pee in it,
foliage and so, like in there.
Oh, yep.
And the plant vegetation gives off the water. It evaporates onto the plastic, and then because you have a rock in the middle of the plastic to make it drip down, it drips into whatever container you have in the middle. So you can, if you don't have like a lake nearby, you can kind of make water by doing stuff like that.
That's a really good one for ocean water as well. Yeah,
because you're right. The salt water, you put a container of salt water in there off the side, and then it evaporates. Because it uses energy from the sun through the plastic. The water gas evaporates up, hits the plastic, cools, turns into particles.
Yep, the
droplets
drips.
of water.
Same as when you
plastic into your
as when you distill it. It's same basic concept, except you're using sun power.
Yeah, sun power, exactly. So.
Yeah, and that's good stuff, because if you only have salt water, you're in trouble. Or, alternatively, if you need salt. It's a way to be able to harvest
salt.
Salt.
That left in the container that you had salt water in originally. The salt will be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one when we were close to ocean water and stuff. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Because what do you do if that's all you have to drink is Nastyville? Bottom line is...
No, that's not good. Does it dehydrate you?
What?
You can't drink just salt water.
Yeah, I know.
You can't drink just salt water.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that method, even if you're stranded, if you can get something over it while it's evaporating, you can get good water to drink. Yep. That's a good method. Bottom line is, have many different systems, right? Know how to do this stuff in many different ways, because what if you can't start a fire? What if you can't produce heat to boil it? Then you're going to have an alternate method. What if you don't have chlorine? Or you don't, So you're going to have to be able to use all of these different methods, because water is so important. Is it besides air?
3 days, right?
3
Isn't
days.
it like 3 days?
Yep. That's why I like to use the 3-minute rule too, because the rules of 3 with survival, right? 3 minutes without air.
Social media?
No, definitely not. Facebook is like, you have messages. I'm like, I don't care.
3 minutes without looking at your social media.
No, 3 minutes
That's what
air.
it seems like society's gone to.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. 3 minutes air, 3 hours extreme weather, 3 days of water, 3 weeks of food. And that's it. The rules of 3. That's what you need.
Yep.
Okay. Let's bust into the Changing Earth news, because I got a lot to talk about. So let's go ahead and do that. Roll that beautiful weather music. All right, Changing Earth news. Our sun, we had some huge activity going on last week. nothing like that I needed to tell you, to like break in on the week about. It's kind of calming down the past couple days. We do have a coronal hole that's inbound again. So that means earthquake watch. So we're back on earthquake watch, and we had some intense earthquake activity last week. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that. Some plasma filaments popping up there, that kind of thing. The climate people, I guess, they came out with a new study.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And they're saying that the wildfires from just the past 2 years have completely erased like 20 years of us trying to get emissions down. And the wildfires have just wiped out everything we did. It's like, do you realize what a small speck you are? Like, the volcanoes can just be like, burp, and, total game changer. So, yes, I want to protect our planet and not pollute and do all those things. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think we're the ones in charge of that. So, yeah, that was the big news from the climate freaks that just want to panic about everything. They're having cases now of like teenagers with PTSD because their parents have like pushed this climate change BS so far down their throats their whole life. They're like, oh my God. And then they're like, you preppers are the fear mongers. Uh-huh. Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Right? Big storm yesterday across the Midwest. Prayers going out to everybody affected from the storm. Tennessee, Kentucky. Literally, we were watching it. It didn't hit our house. It was just east of us. But I was watching it on radar. The ribbon of storm activity literally stretched from Houston to Toronto last night. Or yesterday during the day. It was insanity to watch it. And it did some damage. And Lord, just reach out to everybody who needs your help today. And please make sure they're safe in your arms or wherever they need to be. So, alrighty. On December 4th, we had 642 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. That's a big number. I think the most we've seen is like 800 in one day. So that's up there. Biggest of which was a 5.7 in the Philippines. They're literally still getting earthquakes like daily over there. It's crazy. I couldn't imagine living on that island right now. So prayers to everybody over there. It's got to be a nightmare. The day before that, they actually had a 6.8 in Mindanao in the Philippines. 3 people dead. And that was their third quake in just 2 days. And then they got hit by a 5.7 the next day. Cyclone, I have no idea how to say this name. It's Michaung, Michaung. It was over there giving India a big time walloping. The Chennai airport was affected. There were runways. Everything was completely flooded. So they had flight delays. There was also a 5.1 earthquake in Bursa, Turkey. In UK, Littlehampton, a tornado touched down. 136 mile an hour winds left a 3-mile trail of destruction over there. The UK has just really been getting walloped this winter. So, prayers to all of them over there that are dealing with this rugged weather. Not anything unlike our coastlines right now, though. We had the Pacific atmospheric river come through and hit the northwestern end of the United States and into Canada. So Highway 101 was closed in Oregon due to flooding on the 4th. And that situation is just going to ramp up from there. In Tanzania, there was 47 people killed, 85 injured in flooding and landslides in their country. And also Sumatra, 1 person has died, 11 people are missing in flooding over there. So the rain is just continuing to hit that South African continent. Queensland, Australia was hit with 87 mile an hour winds and hail the size of tennis balls, damaging cars and farms. So they've been taking it on the chin. They get a little bit of a reprieve this week, but they are kind of gearing up for this tropical cyclone. They've named it Jasper, and it was predicted to be a Cat 4 by the time it comes in to hit Queensland, although it did downgrade a little bit, and it hasn't hit yet. It might be hitting today, actually, and we won't hear news of it till tomorrow. So we're keeping our eyes on that one during the week. On December 5th, there was 538 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. Still a pretty big number. We're still up there. 5.8 in the Philippines. Again, biggest earthquake of the day. There was a 5.1 on the big island of Hawaii. Mishong, the cyclone Mishong, left 17 people dead there in India due to flooding. The death toll in Tanzania increased to 63. Remember last week I was talking about on Mount Merapi in Indonesia, the volcano erupted. Mm-hmm. There was 11 hikers that were dead, and then they were still looking for the other 12 that were out there. They've called off the search now and just increased the death toll to 23 because they haven't been able to find them. And I don't know if they actually found bodies yet or not, but they searched for, pretty much all week and haven't been able to find them. So they're assuming that they perished in that as well. So death count from that one's up to about 23. So another study that they've been doing is showing that more natural disasters are happening, but less deaths are actually happening because of these natural disasters, thanks to the early warning systems we have in place. So seems to me I know a book series that kind of goes along those lines, like massive amounts of damage, and then we have no infrastructure and a lot of people. We have to figure that out.
You should put that up on the chat. Probably a bunch of us like to read it.
Right? I know. I've read them a couple times. That would be the Changing Earth series if you guys seriously don't know. I'm just going to spell it out for you at this point. December 6th, there was 446 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger, the biggest of which was a 5.4 in Qinghai, China. In Southern California, there was a 3.5 magnitude earthquake that shut down 20 rides at Disneyland. Oh, poor Disneyland. Disney. Japan, thousands of tourists were stranded as a cold snaps engulfs Asia. So it was getting so cold they couldn't fly the planes and stuff anymore. So all the tourists were trapped there. In Washington, we had homes, roads flooded. I did hear from JB up in Washington. She's doing okay, working too much, but doing okay. And I didn't talk to Ryan, though. I'll have to check in with him. In Iceland, the tremors continue, but no eruption of the volcano as of yet. So, interesting situation there, right? So, there's all these tremors. You live in this city. Your city is literally getting ripped apart by earthquakes and whatnot. So, they evacuate the whole city because they're, eruption's imminent. But then, no eruption. It's like, do you go back home when they're still having, tons of earthquakes? 120, something like that a day. Or what do you do, in that circumstance?
Take a breath.
Yeah, right?
It's like 9/11, people evacuated a building and then were told to go back in.
Right.
I think I'll wait.
Yeah. I just don't know. But that's your house. And what if you have a mortgage on it? You're paying for that house that's in that area. And then you've got to pay to live someplace else. I mean, that's total insurance question. And of course, that's where my insurance brain goes. But, I'm just saying, it's got to be an interesting situation for those people. Speaking of insurance, the Insurance Journal is saying that because of the uptick of hail, that they're losing so many solar panels that it's undermining the security of having solar panels as a energy source. So basically, they're paying out so much on these panels all the time that they're not sure, I mean, you don't get a discount on your insurance for having solar panels, but what if you got a penalty or something because of it? You know, what if they excluded solar panels from your insurance policy, that kind of thing. So that was one of my big concerns with it. And they can withstand pretty good. I mean, I did all that research on solar panels. They can take a pretty good licking. But, you know, they can't stand up to a baseball size. And that's what we've been seeing. So I don't know what we're going to do about that. Cover your panels. Make sure they're okay in a solar storm or in a hailstorm. I really like that flower thing. I know it was like, oh gosh, it was probably like $12,000 or something. But it was this flower. It was a solar panel flower that was literally on a trailer so you can move it around. And during the daytime, it opens up like a flower and follows the sun. And then it closes down if it's a storm or whatever. So, I mean, I wonder if that's more effective. My thought was like too many moving parts.
Yep.
To go wrong. So, but now I'm a little bit more curious. Okay, 7.
I bet you could find some kind of just screen that goes, or covering that would just motorized come across this traditional panel.
Right, or even a plexiglass. If you had like a clear plexiglass that would still let the sunlight through, but could make like a cage for them. You know, like they use for hockey boards.
Yeah.
Because that stuff can take a beating. I mean, it can't take a beating from nothing can take a beating from everything. But it does a pretty good job, and it probably wouldn't be too expensive to make like a cage for it.
Mm-hmm.
At least it would give it something to crack before it hit your panel, and hopefully the panel would still function properly underneath it, you know, if you had it set up that way. So, okay, December 7th. 396 earthquakes are 2.0 or bigger. That's a little bit more of an average number there, the 396. 4.4 near Kilauea Summit, so the Big Island earthquakes continue. The biggest of the day, though, was a 7.1 in Vanuatu. That is due to a lot of solar activity. It usually thumps Vanuatu pretty hard, and then that transfers around the Ring of Fire. In Oregon, 2 people have died because of the flooding due to that atmospheric river activity. It was still raining. It rained all week pretty much up there. And then tropical cyclone Jasper was ramping up on the 7th to a Cat 5. And but it has been slowing down again. Like I say, it's probably hitting today. Swaths of Siberia went to negative 72 degrees Fahrenheit in temperature. That's how cold Asia is right now. Dude, I am not living.
Get about it.
No. Like, you can't even go out. You're just going to insta-freeze. Like, that's stay inside material for, ever right there.
Remember waiting? I don't know. Did you have to wait for the school bus as a kid in Michigan?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine negative?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if your hair was wet, even if we drove to school, you just got out of the shower, your hair's wet, it would break off. Exactly. And that wasn't no negative 72. Like, no, maybe a wind chill, wind chill of negative 30 or something, right? But straight up negative 72 degrees Fahrenheit, no. Not this girl. I was like, I'm done. December 8th of 2023, there was 553 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. Still up there, go just bounce right back to being up there. Biggest of which was a 5.8 in the Solomon Islands. There was a 5.8 earthquake that hit Mexico City. There's a 5.9 earthquake that hit the Philippines again. And the 7.1 from Vanuatu, that's from the day before. On the 9th, so this is yesterday, 445 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. Biggest of which was a 5.7 in the British Virgin Islands. They actually had 2 earthquakes that happened there pretty much in synchronization. And it's really interesting because there was a couple of earthquakes. Where is that? Okay, we're coming up to it. So, right here. So, there was a 2.2 in northern Texas. There was also a 3.6 in Utah, Teutonia, Utah. And this is North American Craton movement. If you don't know what the North American Craton is, just Google it. You'll see pictures of it. But this is our actual plate that sits on top of the United States wiggling. And I think it had some kind of trigger from the Virgis Virgin Islands. And then I told you once it hits in Vanuatu, it kind of travels around the Ring of Fire from there. Usually hits up into the northern part of the United States and then shoots down the Craton. So that would be a definite reason, other than fracking and oil production and stuff, that northern Texas would have that 2.2. So that makes me watch over to the East Coast, because once you have the earthquakes on that Craton, it's traveling around going into the East Coast. So then we're looking for earthquakes like Virginia area, anywhere along the New Madrid, that kind of thing. Looking for activity there. Santa Ana winds returning to Southern California, so we have red flag warnings down there. I saw a couple of fires that did break out. Nothing of mention, though. Nothing big. Of course, we had the huge storm yesterday. Tennessee, Kentucky got just creamed with that storm. More than 12 reported tornadoes touching down. Some of the worst hit spots were Henderson, Tennessee. North part of their town was just destroyed. Clarksville, Tennessee got it. Nashville, Tennessee got it. There's at least 6 people dead that they know of right now. At least 24 injured in that event. So a lot of destruction. It was still a rainy mess today, so they're just trying to figure out, like what's the damage count, and just get a cap on what's going on right now. Pretty much asking people to just shelter in place unless you have like a severe emergency that you need, assistance or something like that. If you're in that area, just, hang out if you can. There's no power in those areas and stuff right now that I know of, at least this afternoon. So it's just a shelter in place type situation. One of the bigger concerns is that these towns that were hit, the small businesses there, they really, really rely upon Christmas sales to be able to make it through their year. And now here we are, 15 days out from Christmas, and their store is wrecked, right? So some people are going to set up like little booths in parking lots and stuff like that to try and capture some of the sales that they would normally get. So if you are in that area, go out and support your small businesses. Go spend some money at their stores if they're still wanting to do business, because, small business is where it's at, and it's really an essential time of year. And that, beyond having to go through the mess of your whole business just got shredded, now it's at the worst time of the possible year for that to happen. And so you're going to have to deal with the fallout from that as well. So if you can support them, please go do that. Okay, so today is the 12th. We had today is the 10th. Sorry, 12/10. We had 454 earthquakes that were 2.0 or bigger. Biggest of which today was a 6.4, pretty much smack dab in the middle of Russia, kind of to their southern border, but centrally located. There was a 5.8 earthquake that took place out in the ocean near Peru. There was a 3.0 earthquake outside of Jackson Center, Ohio. So again, this is that unusual activity. This would be the North American Craton movement coming around from those earthquakes that happened on the other side. There was a 4.0 that hit Romania, and a 2.1 earthquake that hit Scotland. It is worth noting because it was only 5 miles deep, so it was a pretty good tremor and made a pretty good ruckus on top. The shallower earthquakes are, the more you're going to feel them. So the fact that it was only 5 miles deep is what makes this even mentionable. There are currently 56 million Americans under a flood watch. So guys, be careful out there. We got stuff happening on both the East and West Coast. Be safe, be smart. Don't drive through the flood water. Still sorting the damage in Tennessee. Southwestern Alabama was hit with marble-size hail in that vent. Mississippi was hit with baseball-size hail, so they're not going to be outdone by Alabama. And there was a tornado touchdown in Raleigh, North Carolina today, just a little one, just eyes on kind of situation, not nearly the destruction we saw in Tennessee. Currently, there are 28 volcanoes erupting. There are 10 showing minor activity and 34 showing unrest. The erupting numbers are high, but we've been holding pretty steady at 28 for the last few weeks. So we'll have to see what happens with the coronal hole. And then we had all that earthquake activity last week. So if that number climbs or not. And honestly, we got up to like 30 once, and that's like the most I've ever seen before. So we'll just have to keep eyes on that. Currently, wildfire in the United States, we are at a preparedness level of 1, which is basically non-existent. There's only 304 acres burning from 2 fires, and that's being reported in from North Carolina. So not even out west where it's getting ready the wind to blow out there. So alrighty, well, that's the Change in Earth news for today. I hope everybody's, hunkered in, and it got cold down here in Texas, and from what I understand, pretty cold across the rest of the country. So hopefully everybody's snuggled up and getting ready for Christmas and enjoying time with the family.
Yeah.
Did
an office party last night, so that was...
Did ya? There's one thing I don't miss. It's kind of hard to do an office party when you're like 1,800 miles away.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, remote working. Oh. All right, guys. Virgis story is getting ready to work your minds a little bit. So stay tuned for next time. Check out the Change in Earth audio drama on Thursday. You guys are going to love it. Really good stuff. And until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, Battle for the South, Dark Days in Denver, and The Endless Night at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become a supporter while you're there.